Hello, everyone. I am Lexi. I am your host for Lexi's Book Nook. This is a podcast. It's also on Patreon, YouTube, all about books, book recommendations. If you're joining a book club and you want to throw in your own recommendations or you're starting your own book club, this podcast is for you. This will have all these recommended books based on book clubs that I'm a part of. I'm in two. Reese Witherspoon book club picks because she's one of my favorite um, recommenders, if that is a word. I love her books, so I'm going to be talking about her books a little bit more in depth, and then books of my own that I try to keep in theme for the month. So we are in the beginning of July. If you are watching me on YouTube, I am actually recording this a little bit early because it is technically June 29th, not July 1st, but we are going to go ahead and get started anyway. I'm just trying to multitask, but if you are a longtime listener, or not a longtime listener, this has been pretty new for the past 6 or 7 months, then you know this is a podcast that I post twice a month, the beginning of the month, end of the month. Beginning of the month, I'll go over all the books I will be reading. So just a very quick episode today. The second episode at the end of the month, I'll have hopefully gotten through all of those books and I will start talking about them a little bit more in depth. I will give a summary, my thoughts in review, and then a few discussion questions. I only use 3 book club questions just to keep the episodes kind of short. I don't want to waste too much of your time with so many books that I read. I don't want to take more time talking about books. I'm sure you love to listen and talk about books as much as I do, but we don't have all the time in the day. So I want to get you back to reading your book. But since this is the beginning of the month, I'm going to go right into it. I'm going to go over the books that I'll be reading. So the first one, just because I have it on my phone right here, it is The Sandcastle Girls. This is a book or an author that is one of my favorites, Chris Bojalian. But I'm finding out the more that I read him, I don't like him as much. I really like The Flight Attendant, and I can always butcher the title. I think it is like The Witching Hour or something like that. Both very different feels. I really like those books. But the one that I recommended for July, because it sounded like in theme for the month, is called The Sandcastle Girls. So if you like to look at cover art, here is a picture for you. This is for my Patreon and YouTube users, so you can see them. I'm listening to this as an audiobook right now. It's not so much of a beach read, because I saw Sandcastle Girls and I thought, oh, this would be perfect for July. I already got started. I am 53% of it done. But that is the recommendation for July for Chris Bojalian. He is one of my favorite authors, so he's more on my TBR list or to be read list. So this will be after like the book club recommendation. So this is just a fun one. The next one, since it's in front of me, as well as another fun one. But if you follow me on Bookstagram, on Instagram, I like to read books that have been adapted into books, into film or TV series. And this movie is coming out in July, so this is why I'm listening to it right now, or I'm not listening to it yet. But it is American Prometheus by Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin. And it's the triumph and tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer, winner of the Pulitzer Prize. So I don't know anything about Oppenheimer. Here is a picture of the book, an audiobook that I'm going to be listening to for this month. The movie is going to be called Oppenheimer. It is released July 21st. So my goal is to listen to that audiobook before it's released and then watch the movie and see how accurate it is, because I love to stack up the books to film and TV series and just see how well they do with it. And if they're true to it, it's even more incredible to see it actually played out like how we read it. So those are like some of the fun ones that I am listening to right now. But we're going to go on to the book club recommendations. So I'm in 2 book clubs, but one is on a hiatus because they were doing some renovations. So we don't have one of those book club recommendations for this month. But the one that is nearby here where I live in Timonium, the Cockeysville Public Library, their book club pick is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto. So here is the cover art for it. And it looks cute. It looks cute. I don't know how I feel about it, just seeing the cover art, because it seems kind of comic booky. And not saying I don't like comic books, because I'll read basically anything, even manga. I used to love manga as a teenager. Um, but the title sounds interesting. It sounds like the crazy aunt or crazy grandma's like advice that you didn't ask for, but she's giving it to you anyway. So I think it sounds cute, but we'll find out more by the end of the month. So the next book are my Reese Witherspoon books, really. Just two Reese books, because I like to read um, the ones that are recommended from this month of the last year. That way, hopefully, I can get to the new month's recommendation by Reese and read it by the end of the month, and that'll be in a bonus episode that's only found on YouTube and Patreon. But anyway, so we're going to look at last year's Reese pick. It is Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. I might have butchered that. But here is the title art. And Bolu, sorry, it also wrote Love and Color, which is another Reese Witherspoon pick. So this is one of Reese's picks. This is from last year in 2022. I believe in 2021 it was The Paper Palace, so I'm going to be reading that as well by Miranda Cowley Heller. So I'm going to try to get through this as well. So double up on the Reese. I love Reese's books, and they've almost all of them have been adapted to TV and film, so that makes it even more incredible. And then the last book I will be talking about in this podcast is The Swimmers by Julie Otsuka. And I thought this was very fitting because I'm also a swimmer. I've been swimming for 25 years, so this really intrigued me. I thought it would be perfect for July, and I'm very excited to read it. It looks like a small read, so hopefully I'll get through it quickly so I can read other books. So I'm very excited for this month. I have other books on my TBR list, but that is going to be reserved for my Patreon and YouTube users. So Patreon, it is only $3 a month to see my face, my book nook, get inspiration for your own, see the book titles. And if you are on YouTube or BookTube, you will also be part of the extra bonuses of the bonus episodes of books beyond my TBR list. I do have them in front of me. Two of them I already have because I'm behind on Lee Verdugo's books, A Siege and Storm, because this is on Netflix. So this is on my TBR list. That'll hopefully be on a bonus episode. And the next one is from last month's Reese Witherspoon pick, which is Did You Hear About Kitty Carr? So I'll be talking about that hopefully this month. I hope to get through it. But that is all the books. I hope this doesn't look too ambitious. I'm very, very excited. So that's just it for today's episode. You can follow me on Instagram, Spotify. I'm also on Amazon Prime and Audible. I'm on BookTube. And I also have a website called Lexi's Book Nook. That is spelled Lexie, sbooknook.com, where you can buy copies of these books for your book club or for yourself. I will get a small commission based off of your purchase, but at no extra cost to you. But all the books that I mentioned in previous episodes and previous months are on that website, and plus my review and summary of those books. So that is it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you keep on reading.